you want to be 5 to 7 crazy, above an 8 hot. That's your wife's zone, okay? Now, below a 5 crazy and above an 8 hot, this is your unicorn zone. These things don't exist.
All right, welcome everybody, and thanks for coming today. Welcome to the Dating in Asia show. We are excited to have a full panel here. We have 4 Filipinas and 3 foreign guys, and we're going to talk about what it's like to be dating here in the Philippines today. And just wanted to remind you the purpose of the Dating in Asia show. The whole purpose why we're doing this podcast is to facilitate these great discussions. We want to have very candid and open discussions between Filipinas and foreign men so that we can really help facilitate relationships. We want to help people find love and build lasting, healthy, happy relationships in Asia. And we did a couple episodes last year, one in where we interviewed someone in Vietnam, and then one in Bangkok where I interviewed Nick, who was from Australia. And so those were in 2021. And now we are here in Cebu, Philippines. And we have a great panel of guests today. We're going to introduce everybody in just a minute, but that's the purpose. The purpose of the Dating in Asia podcast is to help facilitate these relationships between foreign men and Asian women, and specifically in this case with Filipinas. So we're going to talk about things today, and we want everyone to be very candid, share their opinions, strong opinions, and share the truth so that the Filipinos who are watching and the foreign men who are interested in dating here in the Philippines can really get a good idea of how to avoid the challenges and how to find love here in the Philippines. So don't be shy. Share all of that great experience that you guys have. And again, thanks for coming, everybody. So my background, my name is Chad. I'm the host of the Dating in Asia show. And I have been on and off, well, mostly on, except for COVID, dating in different countries here in Southeast Asia for about 6 years now. And we'll get a little bit more into my background when it's time for my introduction. But I started this podcast specifically so we can help people find long-term relationships. There's a lot of YouTubers and podcasters out there who talk about having their fun and having their trips to Asia just for sex and just for fun. And that works for some people. And there's times where people go through those phases, and that's fine for them. But this one, we really want to help people find love and find relationships. So we want to be as candid as possible. So pretend like you have a lie detector hooked up to you today that will reveal if you're not telling the full truth. So just speak your mind. Don't be afraid. And we also, on this podcast, we really want to help men and Filipinas to get a really realistic idea of their level and where they stand in the dating marketplace. You know, some people, they think they're way up here and maybe they're not. So they're going to hold out and hold out and hold out for this high expectation, and maybe they'll end up alone with cats in their old age, right? And if they could be more realistic, then maybe they'll realize they're here and they should date people that are on their level, and then they could find love and they won't feel like they're settling. So we want to help people, or vice versa. Some, especially with Filipinas, I've noticed, especially they'll think they're down here, and in reality, somebody's squinting. I know some things we're going to bring out later, but in reality, some of the Filipinas that really don't understand that they have so much of what foreign men are looking for, and so they think they're down here, but they're really up here. So we want to help people get those realistic expectations. So the next few episodes of the Dating in Asia show are going to be focused on the Philippines and dating here. And then maybe after that, we'll go back to Thailand or Vietnam or somewhere else, Indonesia, who knows. So that's it. Let's do some introductions. Let's meet our guests. And with that, I've got some questions I want each of you. We'll go in a circle. Let's start with the women. Let's start with Cindy over here. Will you answer these questions, your name and your age and where you're living now? That's the first 3 questions.
So, okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Cindy, and I'm 21, and I live right now in Talisay. Before, I live here in Cebu City, but right now, I live in Talisay. So
Talisay.
Yeah, Talisay. It's a little bit far from here.
Okay, so it's outside of Cebu City, but not too far away?
Yeah, a little bit.
20 minutes,
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then, are you single?
I'm single.
Okay. How long have you been single?
4 months.
4 months.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the longest relationship you've ever had?
1.5. I
One and a
guess.
half years.
Yep.
Okay. And who broke that relationship off? Who ended it?
Me.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll come back later to find out why, maybe. And what's the number one reason you have dated foreigners or are interested in dating foreign men?
Actually, even before, I really wanted to date foreigners because of Filipinos. I know Filipinos are like men, and the reason why it's because I really think that other Filipino men have the toxic traits about women here.
Some
in the
toxic
Philippines.
traits?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And I think foreigners are more open-minded and they are better. I'm not. Oh my gosh, I'm talking bad about Filipinos.
Oh, you're doing fine.
right
You're
now.
doing great.
Okay.
So you think maybe you can get more of what you're looking for in a
maybe
long-term
it's because
relationship?
of my family background, or
Okay.
the way they think. It's
Okay.
really different from Filipinos and foreigners.
Okay.
So that's
We
why.
might come back to that later. And then last question for the introduction part. Tell us something interesting or unique about yourself.
Interesting.
Or unique, something that's different about you or interesting about you.
Everything.
Everything? You're not the typical
Interesting about
Filipina?
me? I'm not really sure. I don't really praise myself that much.
She's pretty humble. Okay, we'll come back to you. If you think of something, let us know. All right. Gladys, would you introduce yourself, please? I told them your name, so age and where you live now.
Hi everyone, my name is Gladys. I'm a mother of 2. I live here in Cebu. I have a place in Lapu-Lapu, but most of the time I'm staying here in Lahug. I'm in an open relationship for 11 months now. My longest relationship was like over 6 years with a Filipino guy, which is the father of my kids, and I was the one who decided to move out of the relationship. Like the most common story of a single mom here in the Philippines being physically abused, emotionally. So that really pushed me to my limit and decided that I don't want to be a martyr woman anymore. And I rather be single than in a toxic relationship. And I decided to date foreign guys because I've noticed with my neighborhood, with my family member, that most of the Filipino men are irresponsible. And I was looking for someone who I can actually partner in life and we can both help each other. It's not just me who's working, because a lot of Filipinas here, it's the woman who's really hustling, the woman who's providing for the family, and men are just like, they're calling it tambay, just staying home.
What's the word?
Tambay.
Okay.
Just drinking and having fun. Not general, but where I grew up and the people that I encountered, most of them are like that. So I thought I'd rather go with a foreign guy because I feel like they are more progressive and responsible.
Excellent. You've answered almost all the intro questions already. Last one, thank you. That's insightful. Something unique or interesting about yourself.
I think I am very curious person. Even when I was a kid, I like to be alone and really observe people. I like just playing alone, and if there are other kids playing there, I just observe them, and I always try to do things even though it's out of the norm. And I always feel like I'm such a weird person because I don't follow other kids are doing, or even when I'm already grown up. So that was
You
like,
question things.
yes.
That can
So,
be good. That can be
yeah.
really good. And let me interject something, because both of you said a little bit about what some of the reasons why you prefer dating foreign men. And I'm gonna make a guess here. At least let me say about myself. I still occasionally, when I'm back in the United States, go on dates there. And I don't think it's impossible that I would find, an American woman that I really hit it off with that has the characteristics and traits that I'm looking for long term. There's still good women in every country, right? But I don't, especially I think men think this way, but you guys are clearly thinking this way. We tend to think in probabilities, not possibilities. And what I mean by that is I think my best probability for finding love and finding a healthy relationship with the type of woman I'm looking for is in the Philippines, which is why I've been here as much as possible these last several years. And I think that's what you guys are saying. It's not that there's no good Filipino men and all men that are here from the Philippines are the way you're talking about, but you see a lot of that and of the men that are, not the way that you want. And so it's not, there are good men, and I'm sure it's the same for you, right? But in general, if you want the best probability of finding the kind of man you want, is it safe to say you prefer dating foreigners? Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Gladys. And now Ria, right?
Right.
Rai, I'm saying it wrong.
Okay.
We might cut that out. Anyway, go ahead, Rai. Give us your introduction. So how old are you and where do you live now?
Hi everyone. I'm Rai, 24, and I'm living here in Cebu and grew up here in Cebu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. And single now, or are you in a relationship?
Oh, I've been single for 24 years.
Never had a boyfriend?
Yeah, never had a boyfriend.
What?
The thing is, I actually just started exploring dating this year, January. That was like my New Year resolution. Like I'll explore what I want, go on dates and stuff like that. So I can say, so far I've been doing great in that aspect. So I have never had a boyfriend.
Okay.
But now I think I know what I want in someone, in a man. Yeah.
Excellent. We're going to get into that. We want to know those
Yeah.
answers. We're glad to welcome you into the dating scene finally after 24
you.
years. No high school boyfriend.
No college. No
college.
Maybe
Wow.
I had some flings. I had flings.
She says maybe.
Like Filipino. I wasn't sure. Yeah, I had flings with Filipinos, but even during pandemic, maybe my longest fling was a year.
Okay.
But it didn't work out. And this year I started like, what if I explore dating foreign guys? Because I've been interested with foreigners. I mean, number one would be like the physical appearance, of course. And we think of it like, oh, imagine like getting a foreigner husband and your kids would have like blue eyes, blonde hair. I mean, it's one of the I don't.
Filipinos
But,
talk
yeah.
about that a lot, and that's why I take a little bit of a negative there because I have the
Yeah.
dark brown eyes. I can't help you there.
But I mean, it's
That's true, they
it's
can be
not really a
recessive.
deal breaker, but it's like one of the things that we also think about.
Yeah.
But more for me, it's more on the open-mindedness. So I have observed that foreigners or other nationalities are more open-minded than Filipinos. But yeah, it's more like my preference.
Excellent.
So
That answers all of them except, well, you've actually already told us one thing that's unique about you. You never had a boyfriend officially before, but anything
oh,
else?
that's the most interesting. Okay.
Anything else interesting or unique that you'd like to share about yourself?
Maybe for me, I say fuck yeah to almost anything, whether it's adventures, traveling.
We got a YOLO
exploring
girl
my
over here.
sexuality, and things like that. Yeah,
We got a YOLO girl. I love it.
That's it.
I love it.
I think it's maybe because I'm young, but I don't know. I think of life that way, like just going on adventures, trying new things.
That's
and
cool.
Exploring a lot. Yeah.
And at least my experience in dating quite a bit here for 6 years and in other parts of Asia, that's more rare than it is in first world countries to find someone adventurous, truly adventurous and open to like trying new things, scuba diving and other, kind of physically adventurous things, but also just in other ways exploring other things that a lot of people are shy of. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, and introduce us to you and tell us your name, please, and how old?
Hi everyone, I'm Julina. I'm 24 years old and currently I live in Lapu-Lapu.
Lapu-Lapu, okay. And single or in a relationship? Well, I know the answer, but go ahead and tell the audience
Yeah,
here.
I'm married with this beautiful
Fine
man.
gentleman over here.
Yes. So yeah.
And how long have you been married, and how long have you known each other?
We're dating for 2 years.
3?
We lived together for 2 years.
2?
2 years.
2 years, okay.
Before we get married.
Okay.
Yeah.
And married
So,
now how long?
1 year.
Cool.
So we're almost 4 years. Yeah.
Awesome. And number one reason that you were you seeking to date foreign men when you guys met? Was that a goal? Like you wanted to date a foreigner back then?
Yeah, I always wanted to date a foreign guy. I mean, I date Filipino before, but like they're always. I mean, they're not serious. They're like, I've been cheated with Filipino, and yeah, they just serious for a while and then gone. But so yeah, that's how that's why I decided to date a foreign, and I want to be with a foreign because it's not like a dream, but that's what I wanted.
Well, but ladies that are watching, Filipinas that are
No, it's
watching,
dream
she
come
found
true.
it, right? She's the success, one of the success stories that we're going to talk about on this show. So congratulations. All right. What about something unique or interesting about yourself?
Oh, I love cooking. I love cleaning.
Wait, did you just say
I love
you
feeding
love
my
cleaning?
husband. Cleaning. I love feeding my husband.
Wow. All the men are just like, wow. What's your favorite meal that she cooks?
Well, I'd say over the last few years living together, difference between cooking Filipino food and Western, European, American style. She knows how to make pasta, pizza from scratch, stuff that you would never see Filipinos doing, rolling out their own pasta. So
Wow. She really cooks.
Oh yeah, and she helps with the brisket, helps with different steaks that we cook. Normally not your typical Philippine cuisine, right? So
It's so funny. I can just hear my sisters and other very very feminist women in the first world right now just screaming like, how dare you praise her for cooking, and why should she be in the kitchen cooking? And yet that's pretty normal here, traditionally expected that men and women fill those normal roles, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm sorry, we got off track. We're still doing introductions. Thank you. And now your name.
I'm Brandon. I'm 44 years young. Grew up in a place called Tomball, Texas, which is close to Houston. Been in Asia for since 2006. Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Hong Kong, Singapore, Cambodia, Laos. So basically everywhere under the umbrella of Southeast Asia. And I've been here in Lapu-Lapu now for about 4 years, 2 years right before COVID, moved back over here. I was single when I came back from Thailand to the Philippines. And as my lovely wife just stated, we've been happily married for the last year and a half.
Congratulations.
Relationship of
I love it.
almost 4 years together, yeah.
Awesome. And okay, so what brought you to, what brought you to, or what started you wanting to date in Asia?
Well, I was actually living in Germany at the time, and I got a phone call from a guy who, never been to Asia before. And he said, would you want to come work for us here in the Philippines? We were laying, doing some deep diving and fiber optic cable laying. And so when I came over here, I got off in Manila, and it was hot as hell. Came from minus 20 degrees in Germany to here where it was 35 degrees. And it was just a culture shock for me, as it probably is for most foreigners who come over here. The minute I walk out of the airport, I got these kids tugging on my pants, saying, give me money and, buy this, sir. And so it was a culture shock. And that was back in 2006. But during that time, I would travel to different parts of Asia.
For work at first.
Yeah, for work purposes. And we are now building a house in the province. So I'm going to be here probably for a long time.
So when you first began dating Asian women, what attracted you to them? What was one of the main reasons?
It's that exotic beauty, where I come from. Yeah, we got some sexy girls in Texas, but that dark skin, the long, straight black hair, that sexiness, the accent, the way they speak. And being here in the Philippines, they speak better English than any other Asian country. In Thailand, you have to know Thai to go places. Of course,
It can be
you've seen.
tough, yeah.
Yeah.
And even more difficult in Vietnam than Thailand.
Oh yeah, yeah. So for here, it's that dark, exotic beauty that a lot of people, come over here. But also the culture. They're very unarming people. They take you in. If they don't have much, I mean, with Jolina's family, she's got 8 brothers and sisters. And if they don't have much, they will give you everything that they have out of their restaurant on their table.
Wow.
Very unarming, hospitable people.
That's awesome. Awesome. Great background. I'm sure you'll have a lot to contribute with all that experience since 2006. That's a long time.
It is.
So what about something unique or interesting about yourself, Brandon?
Oh man, I love to cook as well. I mean, when we grew up, the mothers cooked in the household, and now you've got all these cooking shows like Gordon Ramsay, and the men or the guys are in the kitchen now. We're the ones cooking, and I love to share that with my wife, to where now I can hardly get in my kitchen now to cook. She's always
You guys
there.
are competing.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's great. I can sit back and relax, and my wife will cook me a medium rare steak with a side order mashed potatoes, and she does it perfectly.
But I would say that if you also have those cooking skills, that is unique. I mean, not a lot of women in the first world these days really grow up learning how to cook, and fewer men do. So, very cool. Thank you. All right, Eli, your turn. Let's hear about you.
Yeah, my name is Eli. I am 45 from the U.S. and I've been here in Cebu for 9 years next month,
Oh wow,
full time.
wow, full time living here that time.
Pretty much, yeah.
Always in Cebu the whole time.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Based
Okay.
here since then.
Awesome. And then single in a relationship.
So I was married for almost 22 years. I was got married when I was 21. That was my first relationship, and we actually moved here together with our kids. So I didn't come here to date, and I would say it was mutual. A couple of years just talking really deep, challenging conversations, realizing that we've always been really good friends, but we kind of never were ideal partners. We're kind of heading in different directions in life, and the way we see the world is a bit too different to really kind of be partners. So separated, I would say we consciously uncoupled. I don't know if people have heard that term, but we didn't rip it apart violently. We actually, after 2 years of talking, we kind of just decided and then told our kids, and everything was kind of okay, and we're friends. And
That's rare, but mature. That's great. And that was how long ago, roughly?
we officially split up January 2021. So a year, almost 2 years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So then now, relationship status.
In an open relationship with class.
All right. I didn't know if you guys were going to.
Less open than it used to be ish, but yeah, we've been together for about a year now, and it's been amazing.
Awesome. Very cool. And what's like the number one thing that you like about dating, let's say in the Philippines here, or that,
So to be fair, I don't think I ever really dated anywhere else, and I'm just here. So I had a business here. I already lived here. I love the people here, not just the women. I love the people here. I would stand up for Filipinos and say, I know a bunch of really amazing Filipinos, and I think they should get more of a chance. And I hope that things change in the way that people see each other here. But yeah, I just happen to be here, and a lot of friends here. I don't think I expected to find a long-term relationship necessarily. I was kind of open to that maybe happening, but wasn't really super hardcore looking forward or expecting or needing it to be here, but it happened. So yeah.
Awesome. And something unique or interesting about yourself?
I guess one of the most things that make me a bit unique is that I'm willing to really challenge anything, kind of like what Gladys was saying. Like I question any convention or assumption. Like if something is just supposed to be a certain way, I don't necessarily go with it because of that. So I sometimes break things apart to find what I think might be a better way.
I love that. Like thinking outside the box in every aspect of life. That's something I'm trying to learn from the short time I've known you. I want to learn that and pick that up. I think that's valuable. Cool. I'll answer these real quick about me. So Chad, age 52, and so I've been juggling 3 places. I've been living part-time in Utah, part-time in San Clemente, California, and part-time here in the Philippines, mostly Cebu. And it's tough. So I am going to change that up pretty quick and only juggle 2 places, Philippines and California. And my kids will spend time with me there in Southern California when I'm with them in the States. I am single. I was in a very serious relationship 5 years ago here in the Philippines with a Filipina from Laguna. The town was Binyan, and but on and off I've had shorter relationships since then. She and I were together for my longest relationship. My longest relationship, I was married almost 20 years, and that's a different story. I've been divorced now nine years, but so I've been single now for pretty much this whole year. It's been a couple of years actually. So, and number one reason I date in Asia, or specifically my focus lately has been the Philippines, because when I've spent time in Thailand and Vietnam, there's a ton of beautiful women, and I love the cultures, I love the food and the countries and so many things, but it's so hard to find somebody that speaks English, like Brandon said. And that language barrier, man, it is a big deal, right? So, and I think, every guy and every woman values different things in what they're looking for a long-term relationship. But for me, deep conversations where we connect at a deep emotional level and a deep intellectual level are really important for me. And so I would get to these points in these other countries, and then it just couldn't go deeper. And so I think I can find that here. I'm more likely to find that here. So something interesting about myself, maybe that I was very religious, very Mormon. I was raised in the Mormon church, a very strict Christian religion, and I was in that church my whole life until just a few years ago. And so I was extremely strictly Christian and following very strict rules in that church. And then my whole life changed a few years ago when I learned some things and transitioned out of that faith, out of that belief. And so it's been a big change for me. Anyway, that's something unique about me. All right, now what we want to do, I've got a video I want to show you guys. I'm going to put this video up, and you guys can look at it over here, and then hopefully we'll be able to have our podcast viewers watch it on their screens. This is a video that is going to form kind of the basis of our discussion today, the things we want to talk about that can help Filipinas and foreigners find love. It's a little bit of a humorous video. It's funny, but there are a lot of, just like any humor, there's a lot of truths that are talked about in this video. So let's see what you guys think about the video, and then we're going to react to it and discuss it afterwards. Okay. So hopefully we got the sound right, and we'll go ahead and play this video now.
But it's still something that you can use every day. This is the hot, crazy matrix. It's what you need to know about how to deal with women and how to analyze the situation that you may be in or want to be in.
Okay, let's take a look at that right now.
Okay, so this is the universal hot, crazy matrix. It's everything a young man needs to know about women. I've developed this on my own over 46 years of living on the earth. So this is how it works. You have your crazy axis and your hot axis. Hot is, as usual, measured from 0 to 10. We're all familiar with that. Crazy is measured from 4 to 10 because, of course, there's no such thing as a woman who's not at least a 4 crazy. So you've got 4 to 10. This is your hot, crazy line right here. Very important that you keep in mind where the hot, crazy line is. As a rule, this is your no-go zone. We do not hang around and date and marry women who are not, at least in our mind, a 5. So this is your no-go zone. You don't go here. We just rule this out. Life is better this way. That's the way it is. All right. Above a 5 and to about an 8, and below the crazy line, this is your fun zone. You can hang out here and meet these girls and spend time with them. That's your fun zone. But keep in mind, when you're in the fun zone, you want to move out of the fun zone to a more permanent location. Okay? So that's the fun zone above a 5, hot, below an 8, hot, and below the crazy line. This means these are most of the time not crazy. Okay. Above the danger zone, above the crazy line, we have the danger zone. This is your redheads, your strippers, anyone named Tiffany. This is hairdressers. This is where your car gets keyed. You get a bunny in the pot. Your tires get slashed, and you wind up in jail. Now that we have some of the chart filled in, we got a couple more pieces to put in. But at this point, understand something. This is not a static environment. This is a situation where you have got to use this matrix over time to develop some reliable data. It's like a dope chart, okay? Because at any moment in time, any woman that you have previously located on this chart can vanish from that location and appear anywhere else on the chart. So what you have to do is over time collect some data. And once you have a cluster of data points, you can begin to consider that reliable. Now, moving on, you have this zone here. This is below the crazy line, above an 8 hot, but still, about a 7 crazy. This is your date zone. You can stay in the date zone indefinitely. These are women that you introduce to your friends and your family. They're good looking and they're reasonably not crazy most of the time. Okay, so you can stay here indefinitely. Now, above an 8 hot and between about a 7 and a 5 crazy, this is your wife zone. Okay, when you meet this girl, you should consider a long-term relationship. This zone is not scaled to size. This is a representation and not an actual. This is not a pie chart showing you how many of these people are out there. This is simply a representation of what you're after. You want to be 5 to 7 crazy above an 8 hot. That's your wife zone. Okay. Now, below a 5 crazy and above an 8 hot, this is your unicorn zone. These things don't exist. If you find a unicorn, please capture it safely, keep it alive. We'd like to study it and maybe look at how to replicate that. Okay? So I was explaining this to a guy one time, and he said, wait a minute. I met this girl, and she's like smoking hot. She's like at least a 9, and she's chill. She's totally cool. She's like not even a 3 crazy. I said, you're telling me you've met a girl, she's a 9 hot, and she's like a 2 or a 3 crazy. He said, yeah, man, I like her a lot. I said, you should be careful. That's a dude. You're talking to a tranny. So you got to be careful, because down here below a 4 crazy and above an 8 hot, you're probably talking to a dude. That is the universal hot crazy matrix.
All right. So we're going to react to that, and I want to know the women's thoughts first. And there actually is a video like that where he reverses it and he talks about how women categorize men, but we're going to save that for a different episode of our podcast. So we're going to put the men on the hot seat another day. But for right now, after watching that video, I want to know, and just in no particular order, whoever has a thought, I want to hear from the women. What do you think about the video?
I think it might be true because I actually watched this before, and the man who showed this to me was the guy I am currently seeing, and he was like, "This is so true." And I was like, "So what am I? So where are you gonna put me?" And he's like, "Oh, you're above 5 and crazy. I mean, above 8, and then the 5 to 7 crazy." And I'm like, "Okay, I might agree to that."
So you were in his wife zone.
Oh, it's a wife zone. Oh, okay.
It sounds like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's it.
So he thought it was
it
kind of
could be.
had a lot of truth in it, huh?
Yeah, he said it was really true, and he has been dating like a serial dater. So I was like, maybe that is true. Yeah, and that came from a man's perspective. Yeah.
Nice, interesting. So what about any other thoughts? What do you guys think when you watch that?
I think that's pretty spot on with the unicorn being an epiphany, you know? So, I mean, for me, I always, I don't know, like when we're back in high school, we rate women 1 to 10. Over here, you know, the Filipinos are very lovely women, very lovely women. I think I got a 10, but, you know, she's got her crazy moments as well. I mean, as most women do. And, but I think that's pretty spot on. I think you nailed it.
What do you guys agree or disagree with that all women are at least a 4 crazy? Or do you take issue with that?
I actually agree with that. Yeah.
Sometimes I think there's part of what he was saying that I agree, where women can be in a different like category. Maybe there are phases in our life where we are very chill, we're just in the 4 crazy. But if we get partnered with a wrong person, because with my previous ex, I became in the danger zone. I started like throwing bottle because I was just so angry. So, but I realized that that's not really the place that I want to be in. So in order for me not to be in that place, I need to find someone who can balance me out. So
sometimes being in a toxic relationship, I mean, yours was abusive also, can bring out that.
Yeah, danger zone.
Danger zone,
I
girl.
definitely have a danger side, so better watch out.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
If I don't know.
It always depends on
Like
man.
we all have craziness, so it depends on the person you're with.
So what about the categories, guys? Do you think these categories are accurate in the hot crazy matrix? The fun zone is different categories. Like when I'll speak last, but for you guys, do you categorize women back when you were single? In your case, when you're meeting and you're kind of thinking about, okay, how do I see this girl and how seriously would I take her? And
I think when I first came over here, all the women were categorized in the fun zone.
Because of where you were at in your life?
Because where I was at. I was single, traveling around a lot, wasn't looking at getting into a relationship, just dating. But no trannies, obviously. But yeah, he's right. You find that unicorn, lock it up, keep it, you know. But yeah, I mean, with the fun zone, I think this is more of a Western approach, how he put the categories in there rather than here in Southeast Asia. So I would have done it a little bit different. But
what categories would you add or change?
Yeah, I would definitely start women on the 5 from Asia, because the women always want to be right here. It's hard. You have to say yes, because one thing that I dislike that, you know, American women are different. And I didn't date too many American women when I was in the US, but the Philippine women are quiet. And they'll remain quiet for a day or 2 days, or they'll leave and go to their parents' place. You know, that's one thing.
If there's a disagreement,
Oh, yeah.
or things aren't going well.
Oh yeah, a lot of the times, you know. But the categories there, I would say, was more based on Western women, but pretty much spot on. Yeah.
What about you, Eli? Any thoughts?
If we're taking it seriously, which obviously it's not, you know, it's beautiful how serious they acted in that thing. Like looks like he's a training police or something.
That's what's funny is he
that's
does
what's
take
funny.
himself seriously.
Yeah. I have a view of humans that we're all malleable and that we should all be trying to improve ourselves and grow. And even if somebody is currently low on the hot scale, they can do a hell of a lot to get themselves way up that scale on being attractive by being, you know, changing their habits, being more fit. And if somebody's crazy right now, it's like, you know, the joke being that you can disappear anywhere and reappear somewhere else. For me, it's more like you can gradually move yourself down in the crazy, up in the hot. I mean, there's a lot we can do to change ourselves. So I think it's funny and it's fairly useful-ish. But like when we're first meeting people, it's a lot of the things that we think we see in the beginning were just really wrong. It's like when you get to know somebody 2, 3, 4, 5 months, you spend a lot of time with somebody, there's just lots of things you discover. Sometimes not so good things that we realize, like, never mind. And then sometimes you miss amazing things about people because you don't go long enough.
So we could whether we're using those specific categories or not, we could misjudge people if we're too hasty in it. And I agree. And I'm glad you brought that up about that there are things within our control that we can do. And again, we're going to have another episode about what men can do to improve them, to improve ourselves in the eyes of the Filipinas that we're trying to attract. But today, Eli kind of broached our real main topic. What we really want to talk about is what are some things, if you guys think about yourselves, if you think about any foreigners that you've dated or wanted to date, but maybe you didn't quite attract them or they didn't take you as seriously. Maybe they categorized you in their fun zone, but you wanted them to categorize you as more serious. We want to talk about what are some of the real steps that a Filipina can take to move herself up out of the fun zone for most foreigners that might be putting her there. What could she actually do? What's she in control of in her life that can move her into the more serious zone where the kind of guys she wants are going to think of her as the potential wife. So that's one of the main things we want. That's really what we want to focus the discussion on today. So those are the questions I want you guys to be thinking about. In fact, I'll ask the women to think about like what I would, before the guys talk about it, I want the women to think about what do you think for yourself. And for those of you who are in relationships, you have to think back to when you were single and you were out there dating different guys. But when you're single or when you were single, what do you think was the number one reason why for any man who did put you in the fun zone, why was he keeping you in the fun zone? Do you think? What was keeping you in most guys' fun zone, most foreign guys' fun zone?
For me back then, because I've been dating hardcore for like 3 years before I am in this relationship now. And I always thought because I'm a single mom, no one will take me seriously. And I even set my standards so low so that, because I don't think there's going to be a handsome guy, a young guy that would pick up a single mom. That's a big responsibility. And I was I was so upset because I met a guy and I thought this guy is serious. He's been so nice to me. But then the next day I was ghosted. I'm like, what's wrong? And it's been like that for like 2 years. I've been dating foreign guys. And then I just realized, you know what? If the guys are just having fun, let me have fun too. Let me just meet the guys and just enjoy time with them and not expecting anything. Because in first 2 years, I was like, I want to get married. I want to find a foreign guy and just marry him. Because I'm afraid to go back to my ex as well. Because I've been like that, breaking up and then coming back, and I don't want that to happen. And the only way for me is to find a guy that would marry me and to settle down, but it wasn't working. And after 2 years, I just had fun, meet people for fun. I got tired as well. I'm like, I'm getting old, and it's also so nice to really have a committed relationship. But I think I want to focus on myself now this time. I want to improve myself, and I want to reach the point where I can just be happy alone. Anyway, I have 2 kids already. If I don't have a man who will love me, I have a son who will definitely love me. I have a daughter that will be my best friend for life. So that's going to be amazing. And when I started shifting my mindset to that, I just attract so many amazing people in my life, amazing guys that I matched with them in Tinder and in Badu. Those were the apps that I can recommend. Yes. And I became friends with them up until now. And when they heard about the word open relationship, they're thinking of it as like, oh, that's just fun. You're opening up, you're giving yourself a chance or leeway to be able to cheat. And that's not really true. I feel like because I'm in this relationship right now, I had the chance to really explore and know what I want and still be able to continue meeting people and connect with people. I just reached this point where I don't necessarily have to find someone that's going to be my missing piece, like the one that will complete me, because I'm already complete as a person and I'm already overflowing with love. So if I love someone, it's the overflow of my love to that person. If I love my boyfriend so much, but if time comes that we will be parting apart, it's not like, oh, I lose that happiness. No, because I'm already happy with myself. I'm very much contented. And I think that would be one of the reason that's why I attract a lot of amazing guys. Because when they see me, they don't feel like, oh my God, maybe this girl would latch on me, would be possessive of me. They would feel comfortable. So
I see. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, thank you for being that open and sharing all that. It's beautiful, beautiful to hear. But if I boil it down to Filipinas that are thinking, what can they do to get more men to see them in a different light, to not put them in their fun zone? Would you summarize that? Tell me if this is a good summary, that you worked on yourself and your self-acceptance and becoming happy in who you are and yourself and not feeling so needy of a man, and that maybe started attracting different guys. They started categorizing you a little bit differently, maybe?
I definitely think that's one of the main reasons.
Excellent. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? Like, what do you guys think is the number one reason most guys, if they are in the past or when you were single, if they put you in their fun zone, what was the main reason why they kept you there in the fun zone instead of thinking about you in a more serious way? What do you think it is?
I think I'll be quiet here.
Wait, no, we want to hear, Cindy.
I don't really have a lot of experience about dating, but I think I can give you some, like, for me, if a girl is needy, I think it's not attractive.
If
at
she's
all.
needy?
Yeah, like desperately, like what you
Desperate.
when you're like desperate and needy, you have to be direct of what you really want in a guy. I think you have to tell them or be honest with them.
Okay. So be a little more open and direct, but don't come across needy, and more guys will find that attractive. Okay. Anything else? What do you think?
As for me, I actually have thought about this before. Like, I've been going on dates or meeting or getting to know guys, but it's like it doesn't like last so long, like maybe a week, and then they forget about me, or we forget each other, or we end a communication. And I think it might be because I might have like giving off this vibe that I'm just having fun too. Like, I'm looking for just fun, like sex or getting to know people, just in that phase. But deep inside, I know that I'm actually getting to know guys because I want a monogamous relationship, like a real relationship. But so far, I haven't seen someone who I don't know, who's looking at future with me or something like that. Yeah, it might be that. But that's what I trying to maybe to answer your question, maybe what I can do is be more direct on what I want. Like, oh, I'm not just looking for a one night stand. I'm not just looking for something at short term. I'm actually I want to see someone who I might have a future with, and things like that. Yeah.
So it's interesting if we combine, and we're gonna give you a chance also to speak, of course. But if I put a lot of this together, it almost seems like there's a fine line or a balance that we would have to find, that a Filipina should find, between, on the one hand, not coming across too needy, not trying too hard to look like she's trying to lock somebody down, but also on the other hand, not looking too much like she doesn't want a relationship and is just playing. How do you find that? Let's come back to this. Let's talk about how do you find that happy medium, that balance on those two things, so the guy takes you seriously, right, but doesn't think you're too needy, right? So any thoughts on that before we...
But like
really hard.
One other thing she's saying that I think is worth adding to the list is that she's getting enough experience to figure out what she wants. And that's what I think a lot of people aren't doing, because they go so focused on trying to find a serious relationship.
That they jump into
You don't
the
get
first
enough,
one.
you don't get any data to learn what you really want. So like if you don't go through that process, like how can you even get to there? So
Agreed. Okay, what do you think when you were single, the one main reason why, if guys were putting you into their fun zone, Why were they keeping you in their fun zone? What was the one thing you could have changed back then when you were single that would have made more guys think of you in the girlfriend zone or the wife zone?
Okay. Honestly, I don't really want to like talk about my past, but okay.
No forcing
I know,
if you
it's
don't want
okay.
to.
But I mean, like my last relationship, like he's the one who's cheating or something like that.
He was?
He was the one who's cheating. So I don't really like wants to talk about that. So
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's
I
fine.
don't-
That's fine.
I don't really want to. So.
We don't have to go there.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
so anything else from the women, or even if you're not talking about yourself, if you think of friends of yours that would like to have a relationship with a foreign guy, but guys keep ghosting them, keep dating for a little bit and then moving on. Guys aren't taking them seriously. Guys are keeping, if you think of a friend of yours that maybe a lot of guys are putting in the guys' fun zone, what do you think your friend can do? What's the number one thing you see other Filipinas that they could change? Something within their control that they could actually change to be seen more in the wife zone by more foreign men. What do you guys think? The number one thing, if you think of your friends.
I think if you don't want to be in a fun zone, don't find someone who is younger.
So what's younger? What's that? What define younger?
Because they're into
Under
fun.
what? Under what
Like
age?
Younger foreigners are just into fun.
Under what age do you think?
Maybe
30,
What'd you say?
30 plus.
30.
So maybe find a
Below?
foreigner that's over 30 maybe?
Yeah, that's how I think before. Maybe 30 below is not. But I don't know if that's. It depends on people, right?
Yeah, each person's different
But
for sure.
actually, older, foreigner
You make a really
are
good
into
point.
settling.
Wait, say again?
Older foreigners are into settling.
Settling
Stage,
down,
Yeah.
finding a relationship.
Mhm. They're into finding a wives,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I think that as a general statement, you're right. Yeah, for sure.
So if you want to get a foreigner who wants to have a serious relationship with you, you have to find someone matured enough.
I think that's a good point.
But I think
it
maturity doesn't
Yeah, that
really
depends.
base on age, because again, for 2 years I've dated like 40 plus men at their age, because I thought that's a mature thinking for that age. But then I realized that they're also just curious. They want to be meeting people and dating people, and I thought they're just want some fun. But now I realize, like, of course, if you're in a dating app and if the foreigner is showing that he's interested in you, it doesn't mean that the foreigner is locked into you. That foreigner is also looking for other people and really like filtering which one is the best. And I think Filipinos should accept that. And in finding a relationship, you cannot just swipe one person and expect that that person will be, even though both of you are looking for a serious relationship, it's just a small percentage that the two of you will end up being together. Because again, there's so many gradients in being in a committed relationship. You need to have values alignment. You need to really get along well. So why don't you, instead of being hardcore looking for a serious relationship, why don't you just go there and try to connect with people and let it evolve naturally? Yeah.
I think there's a lot to that. I know in my experience on dating apps, especially when now I'm here more in the Philippines, but when I was only coming a couple times, 2 or 3 times a year for a few weeks at a time, I would spend a lot of time on dating apps back in the United States trying to line up my next trip and trying to find somebody here in the Philippines or a few people that I could come and date seriously to really explore whether we would have that connection. And it was pretty often, especially Filipinas out in the provinces, when we would connect on, say, asiandating.com or some dating app, they would be like, when are you coming and stuff? And then they would say, how many other girls are you talking to? And if you were talking to anyone other than them, they think, oh, then you're only coming for fun. But that's so not true. You got to play as a man. If you're going to spend thousands of dollars, and I mean, some of the flights, if I fly 3 different flights, it takes sometimes 30 something hours to get here. If you're going to spend all this time and effort to come, and you only line up one Filipina you're going to come meet with, it could be that when you get here, she go, oh, I'm in a really, time, something changed. I don't want to meet. Like, so you really, as a guy, it doesn't mean just because you're talking to multiple women, it does not mean that you're not seriously looking for a relationship. But a lot of Filipinas think that it does. So
And
that's a good point.
it's so ironic because I think a lot of Filipinas are also doing that. They don't just chat you; they're actually chatting with a lot of guys.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Of course.
You see it all the time because you're coming over here to travel. When you go away, the next foreign guy comes back in.
Yeah.
It happens both on
It's
both
just a
sides,
rotating.
right?
Oh, wow. I mean, that's the optionitis, right? We have sometimes too many options. And that's one of the reasons why I think it is hard, because we think the grass is going to be greener with the next guy.
Did you ask the girl how many guys that she was talking to?
Yeah, I asked that question back for sure.
What'd she say?
Well, I've asked it a bunch of times, but
Secret pull.
somebody else have any other thoughts on this?
I have. Can I? Yeah. So I think with this whole dating thing, it's one of many areas of life that nobody really ever teaches us anything about it. But just like, and not to make this all like technical or overly analytical, but the reality is it's a matching process, just like sales or recruiting. Dating is a matching process, and it's like meshes of a gear, click, 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 and you cannot figure out what that meshing process even looks like if you don't know what you're looking for. And the only way you're going to figure out what you're looking for is to get enough experiences to learn about yourself and learn about other people. And I think Gladys mentioned values. I think probably one of the most important things any human could ever do is spend a lot of time thinking about ranking your values. Like, what do you actually care about the most in life? Because we all care about lots of things. We want freedom, but we also want security. We want novelty, but we also we just want lots of things. So we can't rank them all at the same level. Right?
They don't have the same weight,
They don't
each
have the
one.
same weight.
And we don't put the same weight on them. You probably put different weight on
Exactly.
things than I do.
Exactly. And so, we have values that we've been given by our family and our culture and maybe religion, that we didn't even really choose. And so as you go through life, like the more experiences you get, the more you're learning, like, that thing that I've always thought I should value, I actually think I don't value it that highly. I really value this more highly. So you don't know that when you're 20, like, so if you get married too quickly and you're locked into something, and then you learn about yourself later and you're like, no, it's not the ranking that I actually care about. So I think, meeting people doesn't even have to be dating. Just the more people you know, the more deep conversations you have with people, the more curious you are, the more you understand about how people work, the more you can start to figure out what your values really are. And then you can start to get clear about what you're actually looking for in someone else. And then you just need a lot of options at the top of the funnel to start, because you can't tell right away, right? But none of it's going to work if you're not getting more clarity about what you're actually looking for. So I literally had 13 things I was looking for if I found a serious partner.
Sounds like a spreadsheet.
It was just a list, but there was tick.
I've
there's
used a spreadsheet.
There's tick boxes, and so I didn't think I'd find them all, but but if you don't have that, how do you know? And I would add one other thing is that I really believe that when we get crystal clear, we write down very specifically what we're looking for. And again, you may not know yet, like you got to get experiences and data to start figuring this out. But the clearer you get over time, it's like if you're looking for an apartment or anything that you're looking for in the world, the more clear you get about it, like probably how you found this studio or the people that you invited today. Like you had to write something clear about that to bring it from the universe. And a lot of times people we know we want to not be alone. We know we have a feeling we want, but we're not that clear about what we're actually trying to attract. And probably even more important than all that is like, are you actually becoming the person you would date? Like, are we working on ourselves to become? It's like we want to find somebody amazing. Are we becoming someone amazing? So I think it's
No, great points. And we want to talk about that again. We want to hammer the men in another episode about what guys can do to level up so that more Filipinas will put them in a serious category. But today, I want the guys, so get in your single mindset for a minute here, guys. And I can do that easy because I'm still single. But think about when you were single and what weight and value you gave to different things and why. What were the main reasons? If you can hopefully think of like a bunch of Filipinas that you dated before you got in the current relationships that you're in, if there was a common theme of one or two main reasons why Filipinas kept getting put by you in your fun zone. I know what they are for me, and I'll go last, but because you guys have taken some guesses as to why guys might be, but I want you to hear from men and get in your single mindset. What were the main reasons why, if a woman had a lot of things you were looking for, but you couldn't think of her as a long-term companion and long-term relationship, and so she stayed in your fun zone, was there a recurring theme? Was there one or two main reasons? Because for me, there are. But can you guys get there in your mind when you're single?
I mean, I would take pretty much like a systematic approach on it. And like we were saying to you, I mean, you have to date a lot. When foreigners come over here, they fall in love with the first Filipina that they meet. All right? Because a Filipina, unlike the Western women that we grew up with, will say, I love you on the first or second date. All right? You will have sex with them on the first or second date. All right? That doesn't happen in Germany. I dated a girl for 6 months. Because German women want to see how much money you make, what kind of car you drive, do you own your own house, right? So the foreign guy who has been through, like both of these gentlemen here, have been through relationships or married for 20 years. They haven't dated for 20 years. Things are changing. We didn't use dating apps when we grew up. And now that's all everybody uses. And then it's freaking distracting because you see, nowadays you go out with your boyfriend or girlfriend and everybody's using their phones, and whether you know it or not, the guy across the table from you, he's swiping right or left, but he's kind of doing it like this, right?
Well, he's on the date. I hope not.
Right. You know, I've seen people.
Tap the heart, don't swipe. You gotta tap the heart, don't swipe.
We're getting advice.
But, you know, dating apps are addictive. One of her best friends has like 20 freaking dating apps. I mean, she's got everyone in the book. And she is.
These girls are like, what are they? Tell me the names of these other ones.
But the problem with the Filipina, though, is they're so used to dating that they're not looking for that serious relationship. And from a time I did, I mean, crazy story. One of these Swedish guys had been over here for 15 years. He had what he called a 3-day rule. And what's a 3-day rule? He said, I would never date the same woman more than 3 days. I said, why is that? Because shit shows up at my house. After 3 days, she's got an extra bag and her toothbrush is here and her pillow's here. And I went to the supermarket. Now her brother's over at my place. After 3 days, you won't be able to get rid of them, right? So that's one thing I did. I did the 3-day rule, which then turned into a 2-day rule, all right? Because I didn't want to, shit, that really happened to you? He went to Thailand for a weekend, came back. There's pink shower curtains and there's a new rug on the ground.
Well, she's decorating.
She's already moved herself in over the weekend. He's stuck. I'm like, what the hell do I do now, Brandon? You know? So, I mean, the more you date, great. And when you're looking at that, I dated for quite a long time, but I wanted a relationship. And my longest relationships with an Asian woman was about 2.5, 3 years. And I caught him cheating. You can't have love if you don't have trust in the relationship. And I got to the point where you know it. You get that feeling where the girl might be cheating on you. I was sending one of my motorcycle dudes following the girl around, right? And she had another apartment with her sister. Well, she'd go, I'm just going to my sister's house. She'd go there, put on her disco clothes, and hit the dance floor, you know? So
she'd be out to the club. So you actually found out that she was cheating by having.
Oh yeah, well you get that feeling, but you know when you're with someone for 2.5 years, you know if something's going wrong. But that's what most Filipino women, they need that experience. Don't fall in love with the first foreign guy you meet. I mean, I know you did, but it's okay.
He's glad you did.
And with the guys as well, I give the foreign guys the same advice. You know, they need to date around. I mean, I've so many foreign guys, seriously, they'll fly back and they're sending 20, 30, 40,000 pesos every month. And I think this is something built in with some Filipinas is where they say, I love you. I love you. See you soon. Right. And the guy goes back home. Right. I mean, for us, I think we dated about 5 or 6 months until we said that to each other, which for me was very rare. because you see with all Filipinas, they know how to reel the foreign guy in, because guys aren't used to that.
So how did you get past the 2-day rule?
That's a good question.
Oh, well, actually on our second date, she was in the hospital because she had a UTI. But I think after that, we kind of had a separation. I was with one of my exes. She was with one of her boyfriends, and we bumped into each other at the beach. Yeah, she was stalking me. No. She was taking pictures of the girl was rubbing suntan lotion on my back. But
So you made her jealous.
I think in my younger days, I would do the 2 to 3 day rule. But, as I was in my mid 30s, I started taking things seriously. Right. Then I had a son in Thailand, and I want to have a relationship. I want to get married. All right. Yeah, we've got our kids, but we need more than that. We need a companion, somebody who can battle us and do things that our children can't. All right. So for me, it's a growing process. And that's what you'll learn dating now. I mean, date as many as you can, but you find that serious one, you find that unicorn, that epiphany of a man, hold on to him. Yeah.
Okay, but let me bring it back, and that's all valuable, but let me bring it back to my question. Before you guys met, when you were single and you decided you were in a phase of life where you would like to get serious, you wanted to find somebody you could be serious and long-term with, yet I'm sure when you're in that phase, she wasn't the first one you met. So when you categorized other women in your fun zone, why? What was keeping them in the fun zone instead of the wife zone?
They weren't as serious.
They weren't serious.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the main thing.
And I would say,
what about something about them that if they had been serious, was there one thing about them that where you would have, even if they were serious, you would have said, in my mind, she would be fun to date, but not somebody I would take seriously over here?
Yeah, well, on one instance, I found out that she was married. The husband lived in the States.
Well, that's a clear one. That's a clear one.
But here's the crazy thing. The husband allowed it. He was an American guy back in California, and he allowed it. Until you come to America, they were married. I didn't know they were married, Until you come to America, have fun. Enjoy. Right? So it's a what do you do? Right? But another instance where the girls I were dating had other sidelines. They had other men that were coming here. They were traveling. And a lot of girls like that because not only are they getting 20,000 peso from one guy, they're getting it from 4.
Oh, so these girls were kind of working the system. And we're going to have a whole nother episode about that. How foreign guys that want to come here and actually find love and really find a relationship can avoid, or at least put themselves in the best position to avoid Filipinas that are just trying to take advantage of them, gold diggers, if you want to call them that. And we're going to have another episode about how the Filipinas can avoid, if they want to, for those Filipinas who are watching that really want a relationship, that want love, that want a guy that will commit. How do you avoid the F-boys, the fuck boys, right? How do you avoid the guy, when the guy says on his dating profile, I'm looking for a relationship, but all the vibes you're getting from him scream, this guy just wants fun. How do you avoid that? So we'll have other episodes about that, but let me ask Eli. So
I got a book for you on that.
What's the name?
I wrote the book on it.
All right.
Land of the Philippines, almost getting it right.
Really? All right, we'll check it out. We'll have to check it out. Eli, when you were single, and if you can think of a phase, maybe there wasn't this phase for you, so I might need to just give my thoughts on this, but where you were in a phase where you wanted something serious and lasting and dated some people that in your mind you thought, she's really cute, but she doesn't qualify as somebody I would take serious and put her in this other category. She's in my fun zone. Is there a recurring theme, one or two things that were keeping a lot of women in your fun zone?
Yeah, totally. No, so kind of going back to Gladys and I each had chosen separately in our own lives that we weren't really dead set on trying to find a long-term partner anytime really soon. I think that's one thing we had in common that is a factor that helped when you're too dead set on the outcome and you're too short-term focused on, could this person be my long-term partner? I think we end up a lot of times not discovering deeper things about people that we might discover if we weren't so focused on that. So anyway, definitely I've met a lot of people. I made a lot of amazing friends. I've chosen to be I really like learning about people, and I like connecting with people, and pretty open when it comes to meeting somebody without really worrying about where it's going to go. So, but because I was pretty clear about the things I would be looking for, if I did find along, somebody, then this is what I would be looking for. So not dead set trying to find it, meeting a lot of people. So, but then there's many that I guess technically if I had to put them somewhere, I'd call it the fun zone. Although for me, I wasn't calling it the fun zone, but yeah, I guess so. So people that I really appreciate, like spending time around, maybe sex is great, whatever, but it's not, yes, we'll call it fun zone. So the reasons, I guess the biggest reasons that people wouldn't make it, typically I end up spending time with somebody in the early, probably physical looks end up being the first filter because you end up swiping, but beyond that, I'm usually looking for people that are interested in learning. I think that's my number one human trait that I look for in people. I want to spend time with people that want to learn new things and that aren't rigidly closed-minded about something. Like this tattoo for me represents my commitment to never saying I know something rigidly. So I like people who like to learn new things and be open to new data. So those are things they would automatically be on my list because of those things. The deal breakers would usually be things like maybe the conversations don't go deep enough. Like I really need deep conversation. Other things would be, I think those are the big ones. The big ones are like people that are rigidly closed-minded about their way of seeing the world and kind of can't adjust or be open in conversations. I like somebody that can really deep talk, deep consider things and be open.
We have some of that in common. Before I jump in and say mine, any comments on what you've been hearing, guys? Ladies.
Yeah, I think for me, that's why I get in the fun zone area in those 2 years is that I don't know much about the world. I have this belief that was wired into me as a kid that, as a woman, the only thing that you need to just serve your man. You need to just make a man like please them. And in sex, like if I date a guy and then we end up having sex, I'm not really, let's say, performing really good because I'm just, my mindset is just making them, finish, and I don't really fully receive what they're giving me because I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not thought about it. And also the conversation is not deep enough because I don't know much about the world. I don't have any experience. So we don't really connect into that level. And of course, if you're dating a foreign guy, they would want someone that they can. And I think right now for me, I wouldn't be able to date someone that I couldn't have a meaningful conversation. I think I need to be intellectually stimulated this time in order for me to really like the person. If it's just shallow, then okay, let's just have fun. But I don't think it will go beyond that if we cannot connect in this level.
Now, before I agree, because personally, I'm on that same page with that deep conversation as a deal breaker for me. It has to be there or they stay in the fun zone for me. But before I say too much about that, I do want to give hope to anyone listening that's a Filipina that might be concerned about this if she doesn't ever see herself improving in her English skills or in her level of emotional openness, her level of intellectual experience and breadth of intellectual knowledge, that she can talk about all sorts of different things in the world with a foreigner that's 2 decades older and has been traveling all over the world. For any Filipino listening to this that may be concerned and thinking, how can I ever get to that level? I'll never be like that. I would say this. I know a lot of foreign guys that they don't prioritize these deep conversations as highly as some of us on the panel do. This is not every guy. Some guys are really okay having, more of a surface level
Trophy
conversation
wife.
here and there. And they don't want to have like 3-hour-long deep conversation. In fact, some guys avoid that. If a woman wants to have deep emotional conversations all the time, there's a lot of guys who don't want that. So don't worry too much if that's not you. That's not every guy that puts a high priority on that. Okay.
Can I
Please.
Yeah. Also would add to that even if maybe you want to be somebody who can engage in those kind of deeper conversations, but you're thinking, oh, I've got to have so much knowledge of the world and so many interesting things to talk about to engage in that or go toe to toe or something. It's actually not true. All you have to do is get good at being interested.
Can you say that again? I'm just worried. Maybe we need to hear you better.
I think, something I learned a long time ago is that you don't need to you don't need to have a lot of topics to talk about to be interesting. Somebody will think of you as interesting if you're just really good at being interested. So if you have really good questions and you just improve quality of questions. So be curious. Like when somebody's talking to you about something, being a super tuned in listener, being a patient listener, actually staying mentally present, and then getting curious. Like if they're talking about something you don't understand, dig deeper. Say, wait a minute, I don't know that term. Can you tell me about that? Let me Google it. Like just
100%.
If somebody shows me that kind of curiosity and that they
want
to go deeper, like, oh my God, like this person wants to learn. But if you think that I need to know these things to be in this conversation, and then you have all these terms you don't know and you're not asking, well, you're going to be lost. Yeah. And then you'll just check out. And like checking out is the worst thing, right? Nobody wants to be with somebody that's checked out.
And everyone, if you're a human, loves exactly. when people are interested in you. That's
Exactly.
How to Win Friends and Influence People book again. So yeah. So let me say mine, because I think that for Filipinas watching, what I hope they get from this video and from this podcast in general is things that they can control. What's within a Filipina's control that can move her. Let's say 90% of the guys that she's dated the last few years that are foreign men are just dating her for fun and putting her in their fun zone. What is within her control that she can do to move up? English skills, I think if her English is or whatever language, right? Learn another language that a lot of foreigners speak. That's going to help a lot to have these meaningful conversations. Expand your knowledge a little bit, try and learn about a few things. But I would say one of the biggest things, and this is going to sound shallow, but like Eli said, this is the first screening that men do, and men are very visual creatures. And most guys are going to prioritize physical attractiveness higher than what most women would prioritize that same characteristic when they're looking for men, right? So I'll say for me, and part of this comes, we all have a past, and we all have learned and been conditioned by our past. And I married for religious reasons. And so I was in a marriage for almost 20 years to someone that I just didn't choose for the right reasons. And so because of where I've been, this filter of mine when I'm at a party or when I'm on a dating app and I'm thinking about, okay, I don't want to just have fun anymore. I'm tired of first dates. Let's be a little more selective, Chad, so that I can only go on dates where I see, at least physically, someone that I would put in that higher category, not the fun zone. If I'm in that mode, I'm extra picky because of my past, because I didn't have that level of physical attraction to my wife of almost 20 years, because I married her for these religious reasons. So now and I recognize the flaw in this thinking, but I don't want that again. I've been there, I've done that. I know what it's like to try and pretend and fake that physical attraction and pretend that I have it there when it's really not genuinely there. And with the Filipina who I dated, it was really, actually, I'll be right out there, I guess, the second person I ever had sex with in my life, because I was a Mormon guy and I couldn't have sex outside of marriage if I wanted to follow my church rules, which I did follow those rules. So I'd only had sex with my wife by the time I was divorced. And then I dated in my mid-40s for 5 years, still following those strict Christian rules. And when I met this Filipina and we started really getting serious, things progressed. And even though I was still very active in believing in my Mormon faith, we had sex. And it was mind-blowing because I was finally having sex with somebody that I had this crazy, ridiculous physical chemistry with. And now that I can see that difference, I don't want to settle now. Now I'm like, oh, I know how good that can be.
Welcome
and
to the Philippines, Chad.
Yeah, right? So it was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing for me. And so now it's like, okay, so I would say that obviously if you're a person of any substance, you know that the physical attraction and the sexual connection, that's not what keeps a relationship lasting and healthy in the long run. We all know it's got to come down to a person's personality, the chemistry you build together, all those deeper connections, the person's character, how loyal they are, how honest, integrity, how they treat people that are just serving them at a restaurant or something, right?
But it's a deal breaker if it's not there, right?
But if it's not there up front, so we're not shallow for wanting it up front. And for me, so I'll just say for me, the women that I've dated in the past 5 or 6 years here that I categorized as fun were women that I was attracted to enough that I knew we could have fun and go out and enjoy some sushi and have a good date and maybe, even take a trip to the beach. And I knew I would enjoy kissing them and maybe more. But they stayed in the fun zone if they weren't above that 8. I mean, to me, that category in the video where if they weren't someone that I just wicked attracted to. And so each guy has a different type. And if I go back home and I'm in America and I'm with guy friends that are single there, these are all tall, confident, successful friends of mine that mostly date in America. Most of them, in fact, all of my friends there would look at the type of woman I'm attracted to and say she's too skinny. So most of those guys, if you bring them here, they want a curvier Filipina with, a little bit of curves and whatnot. And that's them, right? And that's fine. For me, that doesn't work. So for me, if a woman specifically is attracted to me, or if I'm attracted to her, she's very thin. And that's hard to find in the States. And I have a saying, it's like men who date here typically do so for 2 main reasons. Because Filipinas weigh half as much and are twice as feminine as first world or Western women, right? So those are the things for me. I want to get past that physical and build those conversations, and I need that deeper conversation. So women fall into my fun zone if they can't do that on the conversation. But in the very, very, very beginning, they're in my fun zone if I'm not that wildly attracted to them. And so there's things that Filipinas can do to manage their weight, to do things to make themselves more attractive. And then we'll talk in another episode about what is it the guys can do, because I need to know how I can level up for the Filipinas too. Please jump in.
Just I don't know, sort of a slight angle on this perspective, just my personal experience. Physical appearance can matter a ton. And it sounds like to you, it matters a little bit more than to me. But I've discovered something that I'm still really kind of curious about, which is that there seems to be the potential for chemical, biological, sexual attraction and just, what did you call it? What is the word you used? Just chemistry. You'll call it chemistry, right? Where it's not totally correlated with looks. So somebody who physically looks totally unbelievably hot to me, and then I don't actually have so much chemistry. And then somebody who's a little bit I wouldn't put them at the very top of 9 or 10, and the chemistry is just the best ever. So I don't think they always correlate, just to share from my experience. Just because I think women out there who are like, oh yeah, but what if I'm not, again, we have different types and it's not just looks. And I would also say to guys or girls that are swiping, be aware of the way your brain works, because that first, the first visual response you have to what you see, it's not the only thing, I think, biologically. So
agreed. What other thoughts do you guys have? Any other comments on this topic? Again, if we knew right now 1 million single Filipinas from 18 to 30 were going to eventually watch this video, and we want to tell them, and they said, please tell me what can I do to work on myself to level up so more men will take me seriously and think about making me their wife. What would you tell them? What that they can do to work on themselves and improve?
I think for me, the best thing for advice for women is to love yourself first. That comes first. When you love yourself first, that's when you become more confident about yourself with your physical appearance, whether you're skinny, chubby, and there's just a kind of attraction or appeal that comes off when you love yourself or you're confident about yourself. And then that's when guys come to you. For example, that's how I started. For let's say last year, I wasn't really confident about myself. I wasn't going on dates because I feel like, oh, am I good enough? Or maybe they'll be bored if they talk to me and things like that. But when I started to explore the things I want, explore myself, and I'm like, oh, I'm happy for who I am. I'm confident about myself, about me. And then that's when guys started getting attracted with me, whether they want someone skinny, but I'm not in the skinny type. They like how I'm very open-minded. I'm confident about myself, how I carry myself. So I think that's something that what us women can do. Like, you love yourself first, and then men will love you too.
So wait though, because I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but also a lot of women could listen to this, and it could keep if they take it the wrong way, it could keep them from doing any self-improvement. I'm fine just the way I am. I'm perfect. I'm a 10. Can't improve. I love myself.
Yeah,
Take me as I am.
'cause I know
so
you.
how do you
You like to learn. Like,
Yeah.
I know you as a learner. So like, what do you do to make your, what do you?
how do you love yourself but still decide there's room for improvement, right?
Okay. Let's say taking care of myself physically, like going to the gym. So yes, I am confident about my body, or I love my body, but I want to improve it too. So I like go to the gym, and then I start to enjoy it and stuff like that.
That's the balance I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's a balance. That's this kind of balance. So there's like love for myself, but I'm also open to like improving myself, because that's how I love myself more. Yeah, like that.
The more you love, if you truly love yourself, you improve yourself. You want to be the best
that's true.
you that you can be.
The best you.
Because I think there's
That's
this
it.
notion in the West right now that is like plus size models everywhere and everything's fine and fat is perfect and beautiful, and there's some good there because we do want people to be accepting of themselves and all that and have good confidence. But too many people, I think, take it as an excuse not to change. I'm perfect the way I am. The 10 guy that I'm looking for that's over 6 feet, makes over 6 figures, and he's got a 6-pack, and maybe there's another 6 inches somewhere. This guy will find me, and he's gonna love me and whatever, just the way I am. And they don't become the person they need to become to attract. Sometimes we have unrealistic expectations, and if we want someone up here, we got to become someone up here. So I think that's a good balance. What else, guys? Because we're probably going to have to wind down pretty soon. But what are any final thoughts on this topic of how things Filipinas can actually work on that will change and increase their chances of finding the foreign man that they want to lock down?
Like for me, as a mother, a lot of the Filipinas here that's parents already, they're thinking like, oh, I already gave birth. I don't have time for myself. I just have to take care of the kids and take care of my partner and this and that. And they forgot to actually take care of themselves. They just have this idea that, I'm like, you just have to accept me for my looks, and it's not just all about looks. I have a good personality too. But then if you look at yourself in the mirror, you're just lying to yourself. You don't actually love what you see. And that's what happened to me. I keep telling myself like, no, I love myself. I have that self-love. But every time I look at myself in the mirror, I don't like what I see. I feel like I have a lot of stretch marks.
Everyone at home is going, this girl's crazy. This girl's crazy. She's beautiful. What do you mean you don't love what you... Sorry.
Yeah.
I have to speak up for the...
No, it's like...
Are you talking about before?
Before.
Oh,
it's
okay,
like if
okay.
I look at myself in the mirror, I have big tummy, and I thought, well, I gave birth to 2 kids, so you can't expect me to have a flat stomach. You just have to accept it. And I was wiring my mind that way. And I feel like I don't want to wear sexy clothes because I have a lot of scars. And I thought that that's the way it is. It cannot be changed. But when I started this journey of, you know what, I want to give myself like real love, which is taking care of myself. Thank you for the pandemic, because I had a time where we're working from home. I have 3 hours of not commuting anymore. So when I started going to the gym, losing weight, and when I look at myself in the mirror, I was like, okay, this is how you really appreciate who you are, because you love what you're seeing.
Yeah.
You just appreciate. Before, I avoid mirrors, but now every time I see mirror, I would stop and I'm like, just admire myself. And it's very powerful. Before, when someone's telling me that you're beautiful, it's hard for me to believe. But now I'm starting to believe in that. Get used to it because I'm saying it.
And if we just look at the women here today, I would say this is a great example for Filipinas back home, because as a foreign man who has swiped for years on thousands and thousands and thousands of profile pictures, one of the challenges one of the opportunities for Filipinas, I think, is many Filipinas that are naturally very pretty don't present themselves at the top of their game. And because I think there's a stigma here. There's a thing where most of the lady boys or the trans on the dating apps will overdo it with makeup, like tons of makeup, very sexualized positions and photos, and very, very, very fashionable clothes. They're overdoing it like that. So I think what happens, correct me if I'm wrong, is Filipinas don't want to look like too much. They don't want to use too much makeup or dress too much, fashionable and stuff. So some of them, it's like they're just in like on their dating apps, they're like sweatpants and like, so they go too far the other way. But look at how our panel today, you women are all beautifully dressed. You look very feminine, but also very natural. You're not going over the top with makeup. But I think, again, some Filipinas, they don't realize there's this medium, this happy balance that you four are demonstrating today. They just avoid the makeup. They don't do their hair. They don't wear a dress that's nice. They don't because they don't know how much that is going to level them up in the way men view them, or they don't want to look too much like trans. Tell me what you think. That's always been my guess, but am I wrong?
You're right.
I mean,
What's that? Am I right?
You're right.
I mean, Filipino women are such beautiful with their skin. I mean, they don't need all that makeup.
They don't need it.
Even, the little bit the lipstick. When you see a Filipino with that Ferrari red lipstick, you're like, oh, geez, right?
It strikes
it's
you
too
off.
much.
Yeah,
it
it's a
really
little
is.
off sometimes.
So like when you use like a pinkish or a light red, I mean, they don't really need that much makeup, and women do overdo it.
My favorite thing that I see here is just the confidence and like the just the guts to be here. I think is awesome.
I agree, and that's what
Absolutely.
most foreign guys like. They love that confidence. Not that you're talking to them and just asking questions to fake anything, but that you're showing interest in them. I mean, for my wife, always asking
I
me
don't talk
questions
much.
to learn. Oh yeah.
But I'm listening. Don't
But
worry.
always expanding your mind and always having that confidence.
All right. Well, if anyone has any last things to say on that topic, and then we're going to go around the room and maybe just a couple last questions that I have for each of you. But just in general about this topic, anything else to say?
Like one last tiny little thing.
Please.
Take it slow and build habits. Just like don't be in such a hurry to reach an outcome. Forget about it. You got like your whole life ahead of you, and if it takes you a process of years to find an amazing lifelong relationship, just take your time, learn, and work on the habits of yourself, like your own learning and your own figure out what it. Yeah, just slow
I
down.
totally agree with
Slow
that.
down.
Yeah.
Easier said than done. And
It
a lot of
is.
people
It
say when you stop looking and trying so hard to find it, that's when it'll come, right?
Stop
So
looking.
what's
Just
that?
Don't stop looking. Just let people come and go.
Now, the interesting thing is, though, is you can do that. Women can do that because the men will come to you. If you look beautiful and you put yourself on a dating app, I mean, you're
There's a
gonna,
lot of crazy men
right?
out there.
You're gonna have a lot of options. The men, we have to do the chasing. It's hard if we just let it come to us. Not much usually happens.
We don't
We
chase.
gotta make it happen. What do you mean?
Like it's harder for you, right? Because you're the one who chased women.
Yeah, I mean, the
Alright,
men
but you know
usually.
what?
And
This
we
is like a
don't.
whole other topic, but you know what? That's another huge thing. It's like engage. Don't expect the guys to do all the work. Like you're not a piece
I
of
know.
you're not
You
a
have
piece
to
of fruit.
cooperate.
You're not a piece of fruit to be taken off a tree, right? It's like
Yeah.
I want mutual engagement, and like Gladys
That's why
chatted
Bumble
with me so
created.
much. You chatted with me so much. Like yeah, it's like
On Bumble, yeah, women have to message
but
first.
don't just say
There.
hi.
I even
Like, this is a new one. I've never even heard of that. Bumble.
It's like Tinder, but once a match is made, the man can't send the first message. The woman has to.
But they just say hi most of the time. Or on emoji.
What's funny is they just say hi after like 10 years of ripping on men on Tinder for only saying hi.
I've never even heard of that. Oh.
But don't it's like it's not chasing to engage. Like have a conversation. Be the
All right, so I'm going to be as blunt as I can. I would say if I'm speaking not to the women in this room, but to Filipinas at home, I would say that the number one thing that guys are going to screen for at first is visual. So anything you can do to be fit, be in the gym, be taking care of yourself, be eating right. I mean, in America, the habits of eating for men and women have gotten terrible. And if you look at pictures, just search on Google at pictures from the 60s, 70s, even early 80s, as a population in the United States, people, anywhere you took a group picture, everyone was just a lot thinner, right? Eating habits have gotten terrible, exercise, all that stuff. And it's I think the Philippines is following. So we've all got to, so there's a lot of things that Filipinas can do to just instantly be swiped right on more on dating, to have more opportunities from higher level men that are taller, better looking, more confident, that make more money, that are going to be better providers, protectors, and the things that you guys are looking for, that you value, right? You more of these foreign men will see you that way if you're taking care of yourselves in those physical ways at first. That's just the first screener. It's not the most important thing, but those are some of the things within your control. And then the English skills, like we talked about. So anything else to say? And then I have a last couple questions for each of you.
And I think it's also the emotional connection. Yeah, like being able to talk about deep things. Eli mentioned it. So I think for like women, try to be open about yourself, like share something about yourself to your partner, to the guy you're interested in, because that's something that someone mentioned to me too. Like I look like someone who just wants something fun because I don't share much, or he feels like
Shyness.
he don't really know me because I don't. Yeah, like there's kind of shyness, or I just don't share a lot of things about me. So I think that's what I can advise, like be open, or it might be a challenge or difficult at first, but try to do it like slowly, share about yourself, what you like, or about your family, what your where you want to see yourself in, let's say 5 to 10 years, and then it will build the emotional connection between the two of you, and maybe that will help you get to the wife zone.
That was the number one, what you just said, that was the number one reason why after a year and a half almost of dating the Filipina from Laguna, that I couldn't feel like I could move into that next level with her, because she wouldn't open up like that. So yeah, that was it. Real quick, I had each of the guests on the panel today give themselves a rating on 4 different criteria. For the men, the criteria were: how strong do you rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10 as a provider? Your social status, confidence / how much of a leader you are, physical appearance, and then finally character. And for the women, it was 4 different things. For the women, we had them rate themselves on physical appearance and beauty, which men value a lot, femininity, personality and companionship that you can provide, and your character. Again, how honest, loyal, patient, kind. So I'm going to read these so that the people that watch the video at home can we want you to comment. Please comment on this video and give your ratings of each of us. Correct us how we're wrong. Tell us where we got our own self ratings wrong. So this is how each guest on the panel rated ourselves in these categories. And then, well, actually, I'm not going to read each category. I'm just going to summarize. I'll just give the overall rating that we gave ourselves. So I gave myself now let me clarify here too. If I was rating myself in the Western dating market in California, where I live, among all the men I compete with there, for the women I like, I would be focused on dating there. And again, I'm extremely picky, then I would rate myself lower. I would rate myself different. So the rating I gave myself on this self-assessment is for my value as I see it in this dating marketplace here in Asia. And
there's no competition, is there?
Right? I mean, we know, that's why we're here, because we know that we gain a couple extra points on this scale by coming here. So my ultimate rating of myself, when you think about, provider, social status, and leadership, and confidence, and physical appearance, and character, I gave myself an 8 of 10 overall. 8 of 10. I wouldn't rate myself that way back home because there's stiffer competition, and here I'm a little more rare. Anyway, so I gave myself 8 out of 10. Eli gave himself an 8.5 out of 10. Brandon, a 9 out of 10. Now let's talk about the women. So let's start here. Let me see if I have it in the right order. I don't. Okay, Jolena rated herself a 10 out of 10. 10s all the way around. I like the confidence, girl. I like the confidence, but we're going to see in the comments later, do you guys also agree on every area? Is she a 10? Does that mean there's no room for improvement?
Sorry?
Wouldn't a 10 out of 10 mean that there's no room for improvement?
I mean, there's more.
How do you get a higher than a 10? How do you improve beyond a 10?
It's for where you are in your journey today. You got the rest of your life.
Something to think about. Something to think about. Okay, I forget how to pronounce your name. Rai? Yeah. I got it right. Rai gave herself a 9 out of 10. Okay, all right.
Oh, that's
so tell us
wrong.
what
That
you
should be
think.
10 over 10.
Now she's 10. All the girls are 10, huh? So are your results in the dating marketplace? Are you pulling 10s? Are the guys
I think
10s
I am.
that you're attracting?
I think I am actually, because yes, I went on a lot of dates, so I now know what I really want, and so far I'm getting men who are actually like what I want, like takes care of themselves, have a good career, things like that. Yeah, so I think I am pulling.
Okay, so here's something for another episode, and that's great. But another episode we're going to talk about. We're going to have real candid talk about the kind of attention women get, especially on dating apps and first dates and second dates, from guys that they see as 9s and 10s. How much of that attention is guys that only want fun? Versus that they've already categorized you in their fun zone, but they're saying all the right things. Yeah, I want a relationship. Yeah, you're a 10 they're telling all the right things, and then they ghost you later. Like, so the real way to know is like who's wanting to get you to commit. That's the real way to know. All right, Gladys gave herself, but that's a whole nother episode. We're going to go there. Because too many women, they think, look at all the likes on this Instagram post. Look at all the matches in my Tinder. I must be a 9 or a 10. And they don't I'm going to give you some hard truths right now. 90-something% of that attention is guys that just want to hit it and quit. Oh, yeah. It is. Guys are that way. That's the problem. And women, not you guys specifically, but overall, generally, women are notoriously bad at knowing and being able to differentiate that attention and knowing, okay, most of it is just guys that are above my level that would never take me seriously. And just because they'll sleep with me, that doesn't mean I'm at their level for the guys that want commitment. Because women control access to sex and men control access to relationships. So can you sleep with a 9 or a 10 guys? I mean, 4s and 5 women can probably sleep with a horny 9 or a 10 guy here and there. Can you lock one down and get him to commit? That's the question.
And most guys come over here happy with the 4 or 5 or 6 because they know they can get it, like you said.
That's true. Okay, Gladys gave herself, and I still think it's low, 7 3/4, 7.75 out of 10. Tell us what you think, guys. Low or too high? I think too low. And Cindy, very humble over here, gave herself a 6.5, and I don't think anyone's going to agree with that, Cindy, but we'll let the people comment on the video. So, all right, last questions. Do you think if any of you have any Instagram or social media that you want to shout out? We'll go around the room. If anyone wants to talk about a business thing they do or an Instagram, any shout out that you want to give, or if you don't, if there's just a cause that you want to mention or something like that. We don't have to go in order. Whoever has one.
Like, for me, I just want to let all the Filipinos out there to continue growing yourself. Like, that's the most attractive part, I think, for everyone. Continue learning. I just fell in love with learning so much, and I feel like, growing is so infinite. Like, there's, so much potential there, and the more you grow yourself, the more you learn, it just makes you someone that you can attract a lot of people by doing that. And when you start learning about yourself, you start loving yourself, you start accepting your flaws and imperfection. And if you feel like you don't have the right body or the good body, if you don't feel good about that, you can always work it out. It took me like for a long time, I wasn't in love with my body, but when I do the hard work, because it's always going to be hard, when I do the hard work of working out, it gives me so much satisfaction. It pays off a lot. And I thought I will not be able to live without eating rice, but it's a myth. I was able to survive, and now I realize that eating healthy food is much better for my health, for my mental well-being. And you can check out Life Coach School podcast. I've learned so much when it comes to self-awareness and how you can react, or how you recognize your thoughts that causes your feelings and your reaction. So learning those type of things would be very helpful. So just check out that podcast.
So as we go, thank you. What's the podcast name again?
It's Life Coach School podcast.
Okay. And as we go around, look at these on the screen, these last three things. So you can shout out to something or tell whether your mind was changed today, or something you're going to take with you that you learned new today, or give advice like Gladys did. And for the Filipinas, speak it in Visayas if you want. Like let's mix it up a little bit here. Or the guys can jump in if the
I'll
girls
jump in
need
while
more
they're
time.
Thinking, while they're thinking. Gladys and I are working on a project right now, specifically focused on helping people in the Philippines hear stories from other people who came from their socioeconomic, or maybe their city, their town, people that have gone through struggle in life and who have become someone that other people would really look up to, not necessarily economically, but just like people telling stories of people's journeys that we think will be really meaningful. I just started that recently, but so we don't have that out yet. It's called Emerge. It's coming, but you can follow my Instagram at EQ Learner. Can link it.
We'll link this in all the comments. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I don't have an Instagram, just because it's just a big distraction for us and our family now, as we aren't dating. But I would say a shout out to all the men out there who've never been in the Philippines, thinking about coming to the Philippines. Don't send women money before you meet them.
Oh, never. Never.
Because half of the time, it's a bayot or a gay on the other end who is actually using that girl's picture to get money.
Or someone in India or whatever, or Nigeria that's using those pictures.
Yeah. You're not gonna sell your ass down to Zamboanga because they don't like what us white dudes. But I would say to all the foreign guys, get to know your environment where you're coming. Get to talk to some of the people. And if a girl says, "Oh, I'm not gonna meet you unless you send me money," well, shit, there's tons of women here. I mean, they're a dime a dozen. Oh yeah, don't swipe it out. Come meet them in person. Come on down to Cebu.
Get over here. But that is the real thing. Get here. If you have not come, get here and start seeing what it's really like on the ground when you're here. It'll blow your mind.
Sorry, a lot of people just get sucked into the dating apps. They're spending more time conversing on that dating app than they are meeting the person in real time.
If you're here on the ground, where do you meet people in person?
Well, I mean, even if
that's
they're
a whole
here.
topic or whole episode.
So, yeah,
no.
But for me, let's go have a nice dinner or lunch on the beach, out in the public. I wouldn't go to the disco where it's and you can't hear anything, right? You want to go somewhere.
That's not a bad beatbox.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I'll be here all evening. But I like when Jolene and I first dated, I took her out to the beach, took her out somewhere where it's quiet, where we can converse and laugh with one another. I mean, right off the bat, we clicked. So and a lot of guys will come here, they'll go to the bars. You'll see the sexy girls dancing up there, but that's not the kind of, if you're looking for the fun zone, yeah, that's a place to go down here in Mango. But if for me personally, if you're into a serious relationship, take her somewhere nice. There's so many beaches here, and it's not expensive to take a woman out to the beach. Yeah. Rent a car, go. Let's do it old school. Go give your new woman a picnic on the beach,
Great ideas.
Yeah, I mean,
great ideas.
Stuff that we do all the time. We travel together, and yeah, she still likes going to the disco, but when you're with your partner, a nice quiet place, just to travel together as well.
Awesome. Any of these last three questions, shout out, did something change your mind, or did you learn something today? And advice for people back home, and please, in Visayas, if anyone wants to.
Okay. Oh, this is like in addition to what Brandon said. First, for the guys who actually want to come here.
Then do that one in English, yeah.
Yes, this one's for the guys first, so this one's in English. I know we have the stereotype that Filipinas are called like gold diggers, but know that not every Filipina doesn't want money from you. We can, a lot of us can actually be independent. So that's true. Like, don't give money right away. And also, like on first dates, don't try to have sex on first day, or because for example, for us, we are actually on dating apps. We are on dating apps because we want to have connection or find that connection with someone or build a relationship with someone, and like having sex on first date or giving us money even when we actually have it too. Yeah, it's just like makes could be a turn off or a red flag for us.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Okay.
And para sa among mga Filipina, if dili niyo type ang laki, sagdiin na sila. Naidaghan who actually who you can actually attract and who will respect you. So don't waste your time. Ayaw na anang laki nga duwa-duwaan ra ka. Daghan paganahan nimo. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you. And we will put we'll get that translated for those of us. Anything else?
So yeah, girls, ayaw in town mo og pailad sa ubang foreigners kay daghang mangingilad jud. dili lang Filipina ang mangingilad. Parte ang foreigners. So, girls, good luck and find your right one.
Just chill. Don't chase. Don't be pathetic. And yeah, just let people come and go. Grow, right?
Awesome. You guys have been fantastic today. And I, again, super appreciative of everybody's time. It's a lot of time this afternoon, but I think we're going to have some valuable information here that people can watch and learn from, and we'll have more of these kinds of discussions. So thanks again, everybody. And I think that's it. That's going to wrap it up. So thanks for watching. I hope that you will support us here. We're going to grow this channel. There's a ton of new content coming out very soon, a lot of reaction videos, and then we're going to be doing a lot more of these panels. Eventually, not just in Cebu, but we plan to travel around a little bit. Maybe do one in Dumaguete, in Manila, in Bacolod, if I'm saying that right. Bacolod. I always pronounce things wrong. So we'll have a bunch of these types of panel discussions about different topics. But again, the end goal is to help people find healthy, happy relationships, find love, and find the person they're looking for. And that's it for the Dating in Asia show. We hope you'll share this, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.